So I thought that this would be kind of fun to talk about. Recently, Daryl Dixon himself, Norman Reedus, went to go talk to E.T. and he talked to them about Daryl Dixon's potential fate in the future of The Walking Dead. So let's just jump right into it. Hey YouTubers, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell over by the subscriber button to notify you every single time I upload. Okay, I'm sure a lot of you guys know that Daryl is not going anywhere on The Walking Dead. They just recently signed him to a 3-year contract. I mean, they're paying him well over $10 million. He's the main lead of the television show, and it's AMC's biggest property right now. They're planning out a decade's worth of material, and even though they're going to do their best to keep people like Andrew Lincoln and Denai Guerrera, there is always going to be a place here for Norman Reedus as Daryl Dixon. But I think this is one of the things that Norman Reedus knows, and he wants to just put it out there and letting people, fans, news media outlets, and everybody else alike, that he is not going anywhere. And I'm going to quote him now saying, "I don't want to go anywhere. I'll burn the whole studio if they get rid of me." He goes on to say, "I always said I wanted to walk off into the sunset with a dog, but now so many people are doing that I don't know. I don't know how I'd want to die. I don't want to die ever, so I don't want to put it out there. I don't want to give anyone any ideas." So this is kind of news. I mean, for the vast majority of this last couple months, we've known that Andrew Lincoln left The Walking Dead. They made that abundantly clear even before that became the case. I mean, obviously it leaked, and then AMC decided just to lean into it because they had this movie trilogy in their back pocket, something that they were planning, and no one ever really caught wind of that. So that was something they kind of let happen, and he got swept away by the helicopter, and our main lead man just kind of left the show. And it's like, oh man, will this show be any good now? And surprisingly enough, yeah, it has been. It's season 9 is the best season that they've had in years. I mean, I think if you're going back just in the main television show, you have to go all the way back to season 5 to find a season that was comparable. I mean, I think you would really have to go back to maybe season 4 or maybe even season 2, at least in my personal opinion, to find a season that was as good as season 9 of The Walking Dead. But if you're going back between the entire universe on AMC, then maybe season 3 of Fear the Walking Dead. I really like that season. I need to do at some point to break it all down and talk to you guys about which seasons that I like the best and for what reasons, but that's a video for another time. Anyway, season 9 of The Walking Dead was phenomenal, and Norman Reedus was a big part about that. And I feel like one of the reasons, especially his renewed interest, and it's not just simply signing a 3-year contract with AMC to be Daryl Dixon in the universe of The Walking Dead content and everything that they're doing. I feel like one of the things that he is very much beholden to right now is the fact that Angela Kang is the showrunner. And I really don't know how many of y'all go out of your way to listen to the commentary tracks on the Blu-rays, if you even own the Blu-rays or digital downloads. I don't know if the commentaries come on the digital downloads. Tell me in the comment section below, but I have taken the time to listen to a couple of it. And if you ever get a chance to listen to one, especially one which is Norman Reedus and Angela Kang before she became showrunner, especially in season 4, the episode with him and Beth, an absolutely just a joy to listen to. I mean, the amount of respect that these two have for each other, and the fact that Angela Kang is now the showrunner of the entire series. She obviously respects Norman Reedus, and she likes Daryl as a character. It's really coming out in her writing and the way that she's leading this story, and the fact that he is her leading man right now. It just seems like this is something that's been building for a very long time, and it's just, we're finally getting to see the fruition of all of these relationship buildings and everything that's been going on behind the scenes for the last almost decade of this television show. It's kind of crazy, and I feel like one of the reasons Norman Reedus does not want to leave, not just because of the paycheck, not just because he's kind of been regulated to the leading man and all this other stuff. It's because the people in charge now are people he respects, and he's never going to leave because of that. In fact, you know, back during the summer before they wrote off Rick Grimes, Andrew Lincoln, Norman Reedus, they were talking and joking about how their plan, their big bet with each other was, if one of them leaves, the other one's going to leave. And because Andrew Lincoln was leaving, they were joking about whether or not Norman Reedus was going to be leaving anytime soon. He was like, no, I'm not going to leave at all. Like, I want to stay here. And that's really funny. And I feel like one of the reasons that's the case is because Angela Kang is the showrunner now, and she is doing a phenomenal job. Norman Reedus understands that. He respects her. He's friends with her, and he wants to support her. He wants to be there with her as they recreate The Walking Dead and make the show great again. But really, the funniest thing I think here when it comes to actors leaving television roles in order to go do movies or just recreate themselves or whatever, I understand Andrew Lincoln had a personal reason to not show back up, and he didn't want to waste his kids' youth doing this show in another country, filming almost the entire year, only having just a couple of breaks throughout the year or something else like that, that gets wearing on you and you really want to be there for your children. I'm not really bagging on him for this, but almost everybody else. I've seen this happen so many times, and I feel like I love the fact that we have someone like Norman Reedus and maybe even Melissa McBride in the Walking Dead universe who is just like, you know what? This thing is a train. It might be slowing down, but it's still a train. It's going to be continuing at least for the next 3, 4, 5 years. I'm going to stay on this train. They're going to pay me. It's a good job, and I really like what I do. I like the people I work with, and I just want to continue on it. I feel like if you look back in the history of big television shows, big television stars, there's so very few of them that end up breaking out and becoming that much bigger. I mean, I have a lot of hope for Guerrera and people like Cohen. Those two women are going to go far because even though they are Michonne and Maggie respectively, they are still incredibly good actors, and The Walking Dead never really gave them that many chances to shine. They stood out. We recognize them. It's someone that we'd like to see in other material and other content, and it's someone you're going to recognize, but you're never going to look at that one person and be like, that is this person for the rest of your life. Like you're never going to look at someone and be like, yeah, that's Michonne, that's Maggie for the rest of your life. They can take in other characters and they can continue on their career path in a much more diverse way. Someone like Andrew Lincoln, though, I have a hard time believing that Andrew Lincoln's ever going to get out of the shadow of Rick Grimes. I mean, he led this bigger than life television show for nearly 9 years. He's never going to move past it. Now he's going into a movie trilogy for this character. Maybe he understands that. Maybe that's why he wants to become more of a director in the Walking Dead universe, maybe get behind the camera. I mean, we've seen a lot of actors do this as well. David Schwimmer did that after Friends. We don't really see him in front of the camera very much anymore. I mean, he was on the whole OJ thing, but you get to see them transition. It's because the vast majority of the audience can't see them as anybody else. Maybe that's the case right now with someone like Norman Reedus. He realizes that he just wants to stay there. He's happy where he is. He's getting paid enough, and he just wants to continue for as long as they'll have him, and they're not going to kill him off. I mean, he is their leading man, and everything seems to be going swimmingly. I know a lot of people are going to be cry the whole ratings decline over the last couple of years with The Walking Dead, but in all reality, it's still the highest cable show on television at this point. As crazy as that sounds, it really still is. I mean, it beats everybody every single week, even though it's reaching new and new lows. When AMC comes out every single week and saying, hey, we're not really worried about this, all other shows are experiencing ratings declines, and really, The Walking Dead isn't really having that big of a ratings decline in terms of, yes, it's not where it once was, but nothing is. And obviously, this isn't just like any other television show. This isn't evergreen territory of something like Grey's Anatomy or anything else like that. It's very much a genre-based show, and it reached new heights that no one thought was really possible. And the fact that it's only pulling in maybe even a fourth of what it once was pulling in every single week doesn't seem that big of a deal when you realize that no other show reached that limit besides maybe Game of Thrones, and Game of Thrones is another cultural juggernaut that nobody saw coming. And the fact that it's still going way more consistently than Game of Thrones, and with all the shakeups, it's still as good as it is. So I'm okay with that. I think The Walking Dead is still healthy, and obviously I don't think AMC would be doubling down if they realized that the whole property is really tanking. Obviously, the people who are still watching are the big fans. They're going to continue to watch. And with the recent quality upgrade, I'm sure everyone's happy and excited to see what happens in season 10. And maybe even people who stopped watching will get back on board once it gets on Netflix and on Blu-ray and DVD and everything else like that. So I understand where Norman Reedus is coming from with this. I want to see him continue as Daryl Dixon in the future, and I really hope that Melissa McBride has the exact same idea about her character, because if we lose those two characters, I feel like a lot of people are going to stop watching. I mean, they're the OGs. They're the only two people left in this entire show who are from the first season, unless we're counting Morgan, who's on Fear the Walking Dead now. So what are your thoughts on this, guys? I mean, obviously it's not that big of a news call, but I just wanted to take some time to rant about ratings for The Walking Dead, people leaving, and whether or not we're going to be seeing them in anything in the future, whether they can get away from who they were in this show, and then also what the future is going to hold for the series. I know it's a lot to take in. Tell me in the comment section below what your thoughts and opinions about this are. Hope everyone's having a fantastic day. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell over by the subscriber button to notify you every single time I upload. And also, go down to the description section below, hit that link, and go follow me on Twitter where we can talk about The Walking Dead, anything else I talk about on this channel or my other channel. It's been real.